Hello everyone, my name is Pedro Zampon and I'm a researcher and a consultant in the game industry, and I'm based in Brazil. In the last couple of years, I have been studying and trying to understand how to develop the local ecosystem and how to develop local ecosystem of marginalized game development industry, and working into projects and actions with policymakers and industry institutions to create these kind of activities to empower game creators in Brazil and in other countries into the global south. And to these terms, I'm really happy to be with you in Pathfinding GS, this amazing event organized by IGDA, to talk a little bit about how to empower game creators in the global south, how to teach entrepreneurial skills for marginalized game devs. And for this, I'll be talking about Game Jam Plus. Game Jam Plus is that event/movement, international movement born here in Brazil. I was gladly invited to become the strategy director this year, the beginning of this year, to try to improve and develop the methodology of the program to achieve this really harsh challenge to help to develop these entrepreneurial skills into game devs, especially those into marginalized game ecosystems. So let's talk a little bit really quickly about the game industry in a rise. We have been always listening about this 107 billion game industry that is bigger than music and cinema combined. We have all the 71% of total app revenue in Google Play and App Store. We have been watched more than streaming in HBO, Netflix, ESPN, and Hulu. We are growing as an industry. This graph from Newzoo are being spreading around in all these presentations about the game industry. How many dollars and how we are growing in mobile, PC, console. We are earning a lot of money in our industry. The games are the future. But despite all this market growth, we know that the top 25% of the companies in our industry are concentrating 80% of this revenue. And we know that this revenue, these huge successes, are really deeply concentrated by these same stakeholders that controls the growth of this industry. But of course, we have been seeing in the last decade a lot of democratization in the production process. And two decades ago, for a developer here in Brazil or in Africa or in Southern Asia, are being really difficult to see the opportunity to create their own games and sell it in the market. We need more complex machines. Now with a notebook and a common notebook with a very low-end graphic card, we can create games. We have the broadband internet expanding around. We have the growth of 5G expanding the opportunities around the world. We have the accessible softwares to create games. I say accessible because we know that we need some kind of equipment yet to create these games, but it's really more accessible than before. Unity, Unreal especially. We have easy dissemination tools like Twitch, so we can create streaming channels and stream our indie games. We have App Store, we have Google Play, we have Steam, and anyone can self-distribute their games with digital distribution. Okay, we have this democratization of the platforms, of the development tools, of the opportunities, despite of all this high concentration of revenue. But the problem is, what these emerging game developers, what these newcomers of the industry have in common? We all have difficulty to access market and training. We all know a kind of how to make a good game, how to create a game, but in the end of the day, the problem is we doesn't know the business models, how to market, how to sell. We do not have training and access of knowledge on how to create a sustainable business around the game industry. But the deeper problem is that this issue about knowledge is really, really deeper when we are talking about the opportunities into the geographic multiplicity of our industry. The opportunities are not equally distributed geographically. The access costs, the stakeholder distances, the network difficulties, the lack of knowledge and funding. We know that here from Brazil or from Africa, South America, or other countries of South America and Southern Asia, it's really, really difficult to attend the GDC, Gamescom, Nord Games Conference, and any event in our industry to access the stakeholders, to connect with people, to connect with publishers. We have also the language barriers. So it's not easier for everyone to speak in English, to pitch in English. We know that it's a barrier. And we know that all these difficulty of access make a lot of talented game developers in Latin America, in Africa, and Southern Asia been really, really struggling to achieve sustainable business, to achieve success in our industry. That's why here in Brazil, a couple of crazy minds created this movement called Game Jam Plus. The idea is not original, of course. Create opportunities between the indie game developers and the market. We know that we have a lot of these initiatives around the globe. We know that IGDA have a lot of activities trying to achieve this issue, to face this issue. And into this side, Game Jam Plus want to expose these projects, professionals, to publishers, investors, and gamers, because we know that despite all of our struggles in the global south to know how to create good games, our real challenges are especially in terms of publishing, connecting with the consumers, and reaching the investors. So, for this term, we created in 2017 Game Jam Plus. And I want to present you with a brief video that talk a little bit about what is the Game Jam Plus movement and event, and then I'm gonna explain a little bit about what we are really doing to achieve and mind this challenge.
We have come a long way since our beginning in 2017. In 4 years, we've grown tenfold, reaching all over the globe for new jammers. Our last edition had over 1,000 participants in over 20 countries. And we can grow even more with your help. We start our process with the warm-up. On this stage, our organizers host several talks with the world's biggest development companies and studios in an 8-day warm-up session. After this, we start our first stage, the local hackathon, where developers and teams all around the globe gather to create their game prototypes in a 48 hours developing marathon. The winning teams go through to the next stage, the mentoring. Here they receive mentoring from renowned area professionals so that their game may grow and reach a professional level. And after 3 months of preparation, they get ready for stage 3, which are the regional finals. The games here are reviewed and evaluated, and a winner from each continent is selected, along with several other category award winners. From here, we go to the final stage, the grand finale, the big finals. Here the world will be united in Rio de Janeiro to get to know the best games by platform and to find out who will be the Game of the Year. And you can be a part of Game Jam Plus, join our community as a participant, local organizer, or official sponsor. Be R+1.
So, what is this Game Developers World Cup that we are trying to create and we are reaching out all over the world to create? It's a collaborative movement that it's rich on the roots of access the skills of game creators around the world, connect these communities, and with a normal game jam process, making the plus. So into the plus, we are doing actions to help these prototypes of the game jam been a tool, a project-based tool to help these developers to understand how to transform these games into business. Into the last cycle of the event in 2020, we had 7 months of activities entirely on October and divided on 4 stages. So what is this 4 stages? What we are doing around the world? So in October, we have a game jam, a normal game jam, 48 hours of game development. We given some teams for them to develop the games. And then with these prototypes, we create a jury that not only analyzes the prototype itself and the quality of the game, but they need to pitch their projects and their ideas to a group of jury, a local jury, that are gonna evaluate how market feasible this game are. So how interesting, how possible to be commercial viable this game. And into this context, they decided between the first, second, third, and the best games around this local venue. And these best games from each venue are open to be classified for the next stage for the mentoring, the global mentoring. This second stage that this year we started this month of November. Into this next stage, we have panels, workshops, one-to-one mentoring for 100 game developers around the world. Not only the best teams, but we have teams that are not classified as the best teams or the venues that we are open opportunities into this second stage. And these 100 teams are also are stimulated to exchange talents between themselves. So if one team, it's mostly of them are not yet companies, but if one team in the first stage does not classify for the next stage or split themselves and are not together anymore to continue to produce the prototype further, the talents of these teams are stimulated to being incorporated, being embraced by the teams from the next stage, from the second stage. So we help them fully online because of pandemic, of course. We help them to organize their teams. We are mentoring them. We are creating panels for them. We're creating workshops with them, especially to help them to understand how to make that prototype, that game idea, born into the first stage, born into the game jam, to develop it as a viable commercial product, to create a business model around it, to create a monetization process around it, even is a premium or a free-to-play game. And we have some partners around the industry, like Tilting Point, like Gazeos, and these partners around the industry are helping us to mentor these teams and making them understand how to transform these prototypes into commercial viable projects. So after this November to February process, we have our third stage. The third stage is the semifinals, the continental finals, when we get together the best games from Latin America and North America, Africa, Brazil, Europe, Asia, and we decide which one of these games are have most potential to become commercially viable. And we gather all of them to the fourth stage of World Grand Final, that with the representatives of each continent, from them to pitch their games, exchange knowledge, to create a lot of activities to help them to understand all these steps about pitching, about connecting with investors, with publishers, and understanding the self-publishing process, understanding how to make this game go to market. And we are growing year by year. So we started here in Brazil in 2017 in 6 cities, 62 projects and 430 participants. And we have been growing since then. It started to grow to another countries in 2018, more countries in 2019, 2020. In the last cycle, we have been in all of these places that we are seeing the map. We still yet have most of our participants here in Brazil when we have most of our networking, 38%. But we have a lot of participants in Latin America, North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. And we are growing more and more. In this cycle, we have not the numbers yet, but we have been in more venues in Africa, more venues in Latin America, more venues in Southern Asia. We now have, not in the map yet, but we have Ethiopia, Bahrain, that is not in the map. And we have been into these places, and we have seen that into the places where the industry are not more developed than the center of the industry. For example, in Europe, we have a really huge venue in Macedonia, North Macedonia. I never heard about a game in North Macedonia. I never heard about a game in Madagascar. I never heard about a game in Namibia. And into these places, we are with local partners, with volunteer local organizers. We are creating this networking of game creators, mentors, and institutions that wanted to help these developers to achieve success, especially thinking on business, thinking on how to make commercial viable games. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm the strategy director, but this crazy idea was born with this guy, Ian Hochling, the director of Game Jam Plus. This crazy guy based on Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. This guy started this idea to create this event with a very ambitious idea to create a worldwide event born in Brazil. How can I say, here in Brazil, we are creating an international event? Yes, we can try to do it. We're trying to connect with another marginalized game ecosystems, and we are achieving the success. With Léo Mendes, the operation, Felipe Avarenga in communications, Janine Adler, the community relations with the organizers, with the local partners. And we are all together here from Brazil, but with partners in each places around the world, in each continent. We are trying to create this movement. And right now, I want to read for you our manifesto. What is our really important values? We are artists, creators. We want to expand our ability to create worlds and experiences. We want to express ourselves through games. Creating games is our goal, and we want to make our living from this dream. However, the industry is harsh. It's not only about quality of our games, but the competence in selling them into a challenging and always changing market. How to survive in an industry like that? Unite. Let us make a revolution with a community of game developers. Let us forge our independence with the sharing of knowledge. Let us conquer our sustainability with the power of networking. Game Jam Plus is about community. We are volunteers all over the world, organizers, mentors, jury, jammers. We are all united with one objective: connect passionate game developers all over the world and helping them to achieve success. Game Jam Plus is about opportunity. The place where you were born cannot be the factor of success or failure. We are all game creators, whenever residing on Namibia or Brazil, US or Sri Lanka, Portugal, Mexico. We want to transform games into business. We wish to transform dreams into reality. Game Jam Plus is equally about competition and collaboration. A competition for you to access your own skills, to challenge your frontiers, to compare your ability and try your best. But none of this is possible without collaboration. The share of knowledge and learn with others. Understanding the different realities and growing your talents. Game Jam Plus is about diversity. Diversity of cultures, language, backgrounds, religions, ideologies. Diversity of genders and respect. Game Jam Plus is about the process. The prize is less important in that everything you learn along the way, the people that you met, the friends that you made. Be your plus one and take part of this revolution. So, be your plus one. That's our contacts. And I'm really glad to be here in Pathfindings. I'm trying to see the panels and connect with you. So you can reach me in the platform, you can find me into LinkedIn, into email. And I really want to connect especially with you from a marginalized game ecosystem and help you with this collaborative movement to create opportunity for local game creators. We know that this objective is really hard. We know that it's pretty ambitious. And for this, we need, of course, partners like IGDA, partners like publishers, partners like investors, but especially we need local crazy people like us in Brazil that know that if you are born into a marginalized game ecosystem, it's not a factor that make you failure as a game creator. We want to explore the possibilities of our industry, knowing that into this pandemic world, we know that we can connect with each other, to connect with stakeholders, to connect with investors, connect with publishers, despite these geographic distances. And we have so many rich opportunities in terms of culture, in terms of background, in terms of world visions that are not being explored into the games because we are not connecting with these people in South America, in Africa, in Southern Asia, in Middle East, but even in Eastern Europe or into small cities inside the UK, France, Spain, US. For example, we have Salt Lake City venue here in Game Jam Plus that is not a center of the industry in US. There are a lot of game creators out there that are being marginalized comparison with those in California, for example. So we need to connect these game creators that doesn't need to move from their own cities and places to achieve this success. And that's why we are trying to create this Game Jam Plus movement. I'm just a strategy director. I'm just one guy thinking on with my academic background how to achieve all of these things. But at the end of the day, what we are doing is to connect people and use this collective movement, this collective intelligence and efforts to create something more. So, thank you all. Thank you for your time. And I'm really happy to talk about Game Jam Plus today. And I'm free for you to connect with me. See you then. Goodbye.